All right, we are live, I do believe. I'll let some people pile in, let some people come in, enjoy the play tests, enjoy hanging out, asking whatever questions you have. Give a minute or two more as we hop on into the party. Guys, tonight is the first live stream of 2026 and the return of the Let's Play Test series. This is a content idea, a content style I've been really considering for a long time, and I'm really excited to bring it back. I hope it's something that you guys enjoy as well. The thought process here is we're at least for the foreseeable future going to be doing a standalone video every week. That is came out today. That was the Wise Mothman, and then the goal is to do one of these live streams any week. We're going to try to keep it topical, of course. Talk about the decks that came out this week, and talk about just some of the content that I'm trying to push out during the week. The live streams will probably more often include personal decks and things like that. That's actually what the two are today. I need to go ahead and get links for these in the description of the live stream, but we covered both Brigid and Lathril for the channel this week. I actually just realized Brigid isn't out yet as of the time of this live stream. Brigid's actually coming out early next week, so you'll see my list for it. And then Lathril was this past week. Both of these are just my own version of it, adding a little bit of a changes. We're not going to go over exactly what. What I thought would be fun tonight is kind of live streaming and going through what will be my first real play tests with the deck since I did the changes from the versions that went live on the channel. To kind of peel back the curtain for the decks that I do for the channel. Normally, I finish building a deck and I'll run through 15 to 20 playtests, just making sure that the deck functions the way I want it to. I kind of call it my proof of concept playtest. As a way to make sure, well, first off, does it magic? Right? Second off, do the cards work the way I want them to? Does the commander's ability work the way that I want it to? And that kind of thing. And then that's when I normally do the notes for the video, and then I put the videos out. Now for myself, I normally like to go 35 or 40 playtests before I ever have a deck touch the table. Mainly the intention there is just to see, okay, what cards am I looking for in my opening hand? What kind of things am I looking to see, and how am I going to expect the deck to function on the tabletop? And then the hope there is you start to see the cards you're expecting to see, any combos if you have them. In a deck like Brigid that we're going to start off with this evening, the deck was built to take advantage of tapping and untapping Brigid. So how often are we seeing things that can untap her? How often are we seeing other mana dorks in the deck? Things like Selvala that can tap for a large amount of mana. Circle of Dreams Druid, things like that. And then things like my absolute brain, Growing Rights of Itlock, right? The backside can tap for a ton of mana. How often are we seeing things like that? And then how often are we seeing the payoffs for the things that make tokens? How often is Brigid really tapping for a lot of mana? And then the biggest thing I did on my end was just trying to make sure we had enough mana sinks for Brigid's backside to get involved, right? Make sure that the mana's working. Now, of course, just like anything, this is not a perfect deck list, right? I say all the time on the channel, and I mean it, that every deck is not perfect, and every deck can change over time. So the hope is, as we start to run through these playlists or these playtests, that you start to figure out, oh, okay, I need more draw, I need more ramp, I need more things like that, and that way you can work on it. And then I will probably get these two decks on the tabletop with my friends the next time we sit down to play. But like I said, if you have any questions, throw them in the chat, and if not, let's get into Brigid, Clachan's Heart. Again, the whole goal is to flip Brigid to the backside, tapping for mana for each other creature you control. We're going Selesnya tokens Just trying to have some fun. Two-laner here with the Dollmaker Shop is weird. I mean, I love Dollmaker Shop. My gut tells me this deck has, enough lands to hit me the third one, but I think this will be a good test. This is kind of what I talked a lot about in the Mothman video that went live today, if you had a chance to watch it, which was, I think these are the questionable hands you want to keep in the playtest because you want to see if they actually function or not. If I never hit the third lane in the first 3 draws, well, okay, maybe it was a bad playtest and it needs to go in the bad column. All right, well, turn 1, we hit the land, so we got punished. I'm not going to play this Crossroads just quite yet. In fact, I see absolutely no reason to play this until we can take advantage of it. I don't see any point in trying to hand my opponent's haste if I can't take advantage of it. Here we'll get Brigid in with the Kithkin. Remember, we have this on the Dollmaker Shop side, so as we attack, we're getting toy tokens. This turn, we're going to happily flip her over. Now we need to figure out how to do this on Architect. There you go. I'm going to try to use Architect a little bit more for these videos and these playtests, just getting used to it. Moxfield, they're not going anywhere. Believe me, Moxfield will be back. Just trying to get used to it. So right now we're tapping for just the one. I've got 3 open white mana. I had to use that green mana to flip it over. So I've got 3/4 at the moment, although if I can get another creature in, it could go up. I'm kind of thinking Jazal Goldmane here. Attack, get the toy token. If the Kithkin dies, I think that's okay. We still kind of replace it with that toy token that we get off of the attack on the Dollmaker Shop. And now we're really starting to get in. Now, there's always the option now, right, going into turn 3 or going into the next turn of do you flip Brigid back over to get the Kithkin? I don't really see the point at this point because I think we're much better off leaving it on the backside to get the mana. So I've got 4, 5, 6, 7 mana total at the moment, which is a lot of mana. Love the idea of something like Scepter of Celebration, get it on Jazal, start kind of making these 1/1 citizens. That could be fun. There's the Open the Armory, which can go get something like any of our untappers for Brigid. I mean, that's kind of what the deck was meant to do, so we do have that option. If I take the Armory and I go get something like Umbral Mantle, for example, that's 3 mana and equips for 0, I don't have the mana to untap Brigid this turn. That's kind of interesting. I could do the Scepter. Attach it, and Armory for the Mantle for next turn if I wanted to do that. I don't know that I hate that line. Put the Scepter on Jazal. Again, Armory for... The only reason I like Umbral Mantle, preferably over the other 2, is that, remember, it does actually grow Brigid as she's untapping, meaning she can turn into a nice threat. You could put a Scepter on for command damage threats. But here, if this Kithkin didn't die last turn, I'm going to get 2 toys. Otherwise, I'm just going to get 1 for Jazal attacking. Now, Jazal is a 6/4 with trample, so I have a hard time believing we're not going to pick up at least a couple citizens off of this attack. I guess would be 3, but you never quite know, right? Your opponents may have better blockers. But now you've got the arbitrarily large arbitrarily large Brigid, right? Because we can equip this, and she's tapping for 6, again 7 if that Kithkin didn't die, which is more than enough mana to make an arbitrarily large amount of mana. You could go into something like United Front, make a bunch of tokens. You have the Concordant Crossroads to give all of them haste. So, and we have the mana to turn on the Porcelain Gallery. So this is well and enough lethal. Again, you could move the Scepter over if you want Brigid to guarantee commander damage. And remember, you have this Jazal Goldmane trigger. So I think just an arbitrarily large United Front plus the Concordant Crossroads is more than enough. And again, that's what the deck's designed to do. And we got to see it. Playtest 2 here, 4-lander, sorry. I forgot about this. For a second, I thought this was an artifact. That is a land. We see the Parade I like. There's Craterhoof. There's Camaraderie for some draw. Don't mind this one at all. I think a Doggy a turn 1 makes a ton of sense. Turn 2, I guess we'll get the Minas Tirith tapped. Turn 3, go for Brigid. Make that Kithkin token. Turn 4, we'll flip Brigid over. So we use the green from here for that. So we have 3/4 mana at the moment. I mean, I'd love to ideally use Nature's Rhythm for something like a creature that's going to make tokens, right? What would I do instead? 4 mana in the Nature's Rhythm gets me Enoch Strike Leader, which isn't terrible. It can make tokens. It's just not my preferred one. I would prefer something like Adeline, right? I guess I could run it into the Parade. I kind of wish I could get more out of it. Let's Nature's Rhythm for 2 and just see what we can go get. My first thought is Enoch Strike Leader, but let's just see. We have to see the Selfless Spirit to protect the board. That's not a terrible idea. I don't hate that. Voice of Victory seems good too, shutting our opponents down from casting things at our turn, so that's not a bad choice. I think Enoch probably presents the chance for the most tokens per turn at 2 CMC. Well, I guess Voice of Victory does the same. I think Voice probably makes the most sense here, just shutting down opponents casting things on our turn. And we'll come back for the next one. We're not going to flip Brigid back over. I guess we could have stationed this if we wanted to, just to get it started if we want to. It's not a bad piece. So here, 7 mana. I don't hate the idea of the Parade for 5. That doesn't seem like a bad idea. Coming in, getting those 5 shapeshifters is just more value on the board. Something I forget to do often is if I did 3 here, if I just did the actual mana I have and I did 3 into the Parade, Brigid would tap for 5. Could I do anything different with that? Well, not the Camaraderie, right? I guess I could also go through combat, have Voice of Victory attack. It would make the Warriors, and then I'd have 7 for something like Camaraderie. So I guess that's an option. But I think I just like 5 for the Parade. I'd probably just station up the Adagia just to get there. Now, this turn, these guys can tap for mana, so that's pretty nice. We could go deep into a March of the Multitudes if we wanted to. I'm trying to think of what makes the most sense. Camaraderie's 6 mana, draws me 8 right now, which doesn't feel terrible. And then I'm still tapping for 7 mana plus all these can tap for mana, so we still got like 12 mana left over. That doesn't feel like a bad idea. Let's Camaraderie for 8. There's the Kamal, great outlet to put mana into to pump our creatures. There's the Dollmaker shop. We can put this in on the Porcelain Gallery side, which would be particularly brutal. They'd all be 7/7s this turn. Could be a pretty fun attack. Again, Brigid's tapping for 7 at the moment before we use the shapeshifters. I mean, I could even go Skull Clamp if I wanted to. If I use these right, I have 12 mana. If I play the Gallery, that's 1 left in it. Tap one of them to open up the Dollmaker shop, and then go ahead and attack. Again, these are all 7/7s. You make 3 toys, right? Making them all 10/10s, and then they're all just attacking. The Warriors come in, making everything 12/12s. That feels pretty good. I think we've kind of reached a nice natural end on that one. I know that Brigid's not going to be the most popular idea for a deck, but I think it's fun. It's fun to iterate on some of these, tokens ideas. And as you can see, we've got, 2 different, token decks, right, tonight. Playtest 3 2-landers with an Enlightened Tutor, so that can go get either of our choices. But again, here's another kind of questionable, hey, can we get to 3 mana? But if we can get to 3 mana, Brigid really does help as long as she sits on the battlefield. Well, there's the Horizon Canopy. We managed to be safe. You want to E-Tutor, you can. I know at some brackets people aren't going to like something like E-Tutor, but again, since we're working in bracket 3 here, we're more than willing to do this. The question is, what would you go get? I mean, obviously, something like the Mantle, but trying to think what makes the most sense. We don't necessarily have to do it now. We could play something like the Canopy and then wait, and then go ahead and do it. And the nice part about the Enlightened Tutor is you can go ahead and get enchantments as well. So it's not like you have to go get one of our untapping our equipment, right? There's so many things in the list we can go get. Again, you know, I have my love for Dollmaker's Shop. It's just a card I really like, and it can help us go wide. You've got something like the Monument. If you want to try to guarantee your creature sticking around, you just have to guarantee you can make enough tokens to leave it out there. I'm just trying to go through my head and see, okay, what would I get besides an untapper? Like, what would be the thing that would entice me? Springleaf Parade obviously would be a fun way to get a bunch of mana. So we'll go ahead and shuffle that, and we'll put that on top. So then we would come in turn 3, play Brigid, get the Kithkin, right? Turn 4, flip her over. So I've got 3 mana. I like Mirror Entity. Again, great mana dump here to just make all your creatures into a certain thing. Sorry, she is flipped over. Turn 4, 5 mana. Love the idea of something like the Anok. We could always clamp if we wanted to, but okay, we could Springleaf for 3. Doesn't feel bad at all. Getting a couple more bodies on the board, and it would help Brigid tap for more next turn. Or my thought is Anok Beastmaster, try to get at least something on the Beastmaster this turn, or I guess you could go Anok, Skull Clamp, hold up the path. I'm just trying to think of what makes the most sense on using up our mana. Springleaf does make a ton of sense. Make 3, then they all tap for next turn, allowing us to just take a bigger turn next turn. Maybe that's the line that makes sense to me, to use all of our mana. So we come back to the next turn. 4 on lands. Right now, Brigid's tapping for 5, and then you have, so that's 9 total, and then you have 3 from the Shapeshifter, so that's 12, so plenty of mana to go deep this turn. Skull Clamp. I'll tap the Kithkin for the mana to clamp it, just so we can dig, right? Don't mind the Hour Reckoning. There's Soul Ring. Beastmaster. I don't really want to clamp another Shapeshifter just quite yet. The nice part is we used what? 1, 2, 3, 6. She had tapped for, I think it was 9 total, so we could pay into the 3 into Mirror Entity to make all these that are attacking 3/3s. That doesn't seem like a terrible idea. You'd get, what, 4 counters on the Beastmaster Ascension? I don't know if that's my favorite line, but that could make sense. You've got the Strike Leader to back it up. This is tapped, so we can't attack with it. But I think that doesn't feel bad at all, because then this turn, you could put as much mana as you want into Mirror Entity. This is tapping for 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I mean, you could put 8 into Mirror Entity and then go Overwhelming Stampede with this. Make them all into 16s with Trample. Take a big attack. You would get the Goblins off of Strike Leader. They wouldn't have Trample, but actually you get the extra buff from the Ascension. So they'd be 21s with Trample. That seems like it could be fun. Knock at least 2 players out here on turn 6. Okay, that's not a terrible line by any means. And again, just goes to show you that we got to protect Brigid, right? A lot of this game plan just comes down to making sure she stays out there. But it's good to see kind of some of these lines, right, that the deck can function with. Man, Architect tonight, a Mirror Entity. I don't know why it likes Mirror Entity so much, but it keeps handing it to us. 5-lander feels like way too much, but let's see what happens. We draw the 6th land. I mean, I guess I got to give it credit. When you flood, right? Flip her over. 4 mana. Play the Entity. Hey, look, a non-land permanent. Strike Leader. 3 here. She's tapping for 3. I guess you could put the 3 spare into the Entity and just attack here. And you'd actually make the 3/1/1 goblins here if we want to, which could be interesting. The goblins won't get the 3/3 benefit, but these would. That actually feels pretty good. Again, you probably lose a goblin or 2 in combat here from people blocking. Turn 6, we can Camaraderie. I think I'd probably wait. The nice part about Mirror Entity is that this is an instant speed ability. So if I go like Camaraderie here for right now, it would be 6. Jeez, all the lands this playtest. Brigid's tapping for 5 right now. You could attack, Anok Strike Leader would make 3 more goblins, and then don't attack with Brigid, just attack with the other ones, and then tap Brigid for 5, 6, 7, 8, make them all into 8/8s. That's the fun part about Mirror Entity that I kind of like, is that with these kind of unattacked token makers, I like. Now you're running into some nice, damage here because of those 1/1s, the goblins that came in. And maybe if your opponents take a cheeky block they don't expect you to be able to profit from, then you could do that at instant speed, right? You could kind of determine whether you want to do this or not. It's just that Brigid, right, gets to tap whenever you want it to. Fortunately, we didn't see protection this time around. We're running things like flawless maneuver and things like that. We just didn't see it. And we probably just pare down our hand of lands. We took that big attack. Some of the goblins probably die. And if we untap, okay, well, there's Gold Knight Commander. That could certainly help. You could look at something like Champion of Lambholt. Gold Knight Lambholt. We'll go Lambholt first and then Gold Knight just to get the counter on it. And then on combat, you'd make 3 more goblins. This would go up to 4, probably making them a little bit more unblockable. And then doing that. Scouts, we are live. Ask any questions you have. Let me know what you think. We're just running through some play tests, trying to work on this Brigid list that we have coming out for the channel next week. So there's a video for it coming out next week for the channel. This is just my personal version. I've been messing around with. But I'd love to know what your thoughts. Let me know what you think. Ask any questions you have, and we'll run back another one. We'll probably rock for Brigid for another 5 or 10 minutes, and then we'll switch over to Lathril. Talk about the Lathril list. Again, very similar to the one we released this week, just kind of changed up a little bit. Another 2-lander. Architect's really loving our 2-landers tonight, but they've all worked out fairly well for us. I like this. I love Adeline. Probably one of my favorite token producers. We see Horn of Valhalla, which could produce there. There's a Cathars. There's Jazal as a mana sink. I like United Front. So again, one of those ones where, okay, do we get the 3rd land? If we don't, then we, make the mark. But honestly, I have yet to have the issue with getting the 3rd land. Turn 2, there we go. We see the command tower, so we're good to go. We had the 3rd land. I don't really want to put the Valhalla down. So I think we'll just go right into Brigid on turn 3. Scott says, what made you want to make this content? Well, Scott, I don't know if you're, familiar with the channel or what we do in the channel, but of course we play test in every video on the channel. And I just thought it'd be fun to do more live stream content. I sat down and thought about what I would do on a live stream, thought about arena, things like that. But I just felt like, well, I play test a lot, or play test is something that I value. And it's not something that people really do much content on. So I thought it'd be fun to kind of sit down and do some playtest content, talk about why we're doing it, thinking through our processes, what goes through your head, when we playtest, and then obviously trying to make it topical, right? Trying to make it surrounding the commanders that are coming out in the channel, right? And what kind of content we have coming out, right? So right now we're kind of most the way through Lorwyn, right? But of course we'll be doing this in the future for all the new sets, trying to cover the new commanders as they come out. Again, trying to keep it more topical, and I'll pepper my personal decks in. Yeah, Scouts. I think that's the goal. Honestly, is my thing's always been trying to be reasonable on budget. I think anybody can slap a $900 list together, but I think when you try to restrict yourself, my thing for the channel has always been less than $300. I really try to make it $250 if I can, but sometimes I try to push lower than that when I can. But really, it's just all about synergy, making sure the deck works, making sure all the cards work, and then the whole goal of playtests, like I said, isn't just to show off all your best plays, but it's just to iterate, figure out how the deck works. How do I set it up? How do I make it function? And in a deck like this, right, you want to see, obviously, we're going to be very reliant on, Brigid when she flips over, right? But we want to see what else can surround her to make value that we can, take advantage of. So here you go, turn 4, 4 lands. Brigid's just tapping for 1, but remember that if we put more things down, Brigid can tap for more than that. So my thought would be Adeline. Now, I don't have to tap Brigid before combat. Like, my thought is, do you attack with the Kithkin? And make the 3/1/1s. It's turn 4. I mean, probably 2 of them die, right? You gotta expect your opponent to have blocks. And then the question would be, could we survive? Could the Kithkin survive? Or do we take the 3 mana and put it into something like um, Darien, just to buff the board? And then you could still attack with the Kithkin. You could still get the humans here off of Adeline. Again, they're 2/2s, probably a better chance they're still going to get chump blocked, but then at least I think we're just providing more, more value to the board. Now, as we come into turn 5/4 here, as long as Brigid survives, she's tapping for 4. 5 if, one of our humans lived. If one of the humans lived, I think I'd probably just, windmill slam like an Eldrazi monument. I think it's just going to lead to some really big combats that's going to help protect the board. I mean, we're still susceptible at this moment to, paths, swords, things like that. But the Eldrazi monument would eliminate a lot of board wipes. Unfortunately, you're always going to have to contend in a creature deck with board wipes like Farewell and your Exile board wipes. But again, I think when we sit and we talk about how to hedge our board state for the best possible scenarios, you want to try to cross off as many as you can. You can't always cross off all of them, but you could try. And I think Monument's probably one of my favorites as far as when tokens deck goes, is just because flying already is great, indestructible is great, and then Adeline's just going to start making, and then you start seeing Adeline get worse because she's in the air. Not everybody's going to have a flying blocker, and I think that would make the most sense to me. You'd still have a couple mana left over here. What would I do with it? Guess you can United Front if you want to. I think that's good enough for me. You'll end up having to sacrifice either the Kithkin or one of the humans that Adeline made right in combat to keep it alive. But here you go. Darian's even protecting the board, giving out hexproof and indestructible to our tokens. So we've got some backup for the tokens. If somebody's really going to get rid of Brigid, somebody's going to get rid of Brigid. But the hope is that in the games where Brigid actually gets knocked out, that you have backup pieces, right, to make sure that you're still doing the tokens game plan. Scott says, "What are some of your favorite commanders you own personally?" I try to cover them every few months for the channel. I don't think I've covered them recently. I was thinking about doing it for probably the later part of the TMNT cycle because I want to make sure we get to our commanders. But I'd say top 3 at the moment. Sirach and Goreclaw is a deck I've always enjoyed. Mono Green Stompy. It's one of my favorites to pull out, especially to give the new players, just to enjoy them, kind of getting to see what a bunch of big green creatures look like turning sideways. Favorite deck to play right now, it still comes back to Jetmir. Jetmir's a deck I really love. It's a mid-range tokens deck. I really enjoy playing it. You get to 9 creatures, you stomp in on your opponents. It always does well for me, and it's just can be very difficult to deal with if you've never seen it before or if you have no way to interact with Jetmir. It's always fun to figure out when's the best time to put down Jetmir, right, and when's the best time to interact. As far as number 3 goes, it always cycles. Right now, I've been really enjoying Ureni Dragons from Tarkir, the Precon commander. I had a Miram deck in the past that I had kind of taken apart because my playgroup at the time wasn't really ready for that power level of a deck. But Ureni, I've just absolutely enjoyed. I love it. I love the Stompy stuff. I love the dragons, and it's been fun to play with it. I've made some more recent changes to put a few more dollars into it because I'm currently playing with a play group where a couple guys are playing more of the bracket 4 style list, so it's kind of gotten pushed up a little bit closer to bracket 4, even though it's still bracket 3. But I've got a bunch of decks, and I'll drop my personal architect in the chat so you can see the decks that I have, and you can take a look. You can see there's a few of them that I have floating around, but getting back to the playtest again, I like this. I mean, the monument's already going to be hard enough to get through. We didn't see any of our quote unquote untapped shenanigans, but this just proves like the stuff I love about Adeline and the token generators like it. If we come back and the board's still as it is and nothing's left, again, we probably lose a human to the monument. You just go Cathar's Crusade or Gold Knight Commander. Both of them are going to do effectively the same thing of just helping putting the game out of reach. and having a good time. We'll go one more playtest on Brigid, and then we're gonna switch over to Lathril. Like I said, if for anybody that's watching or came in later or didn't hear it at the first, we have two versions of Brigid coming out. I think it's tomorrow. One is completely Kithkin focused, and then one is more tokens focused. So that's kind of what my personal version of this list came from. Was the one that I'm going to be putting up on the channel tomorrow. Um, Again, just with some tweaks, mainly on budget. Adding things like a Vendo and a land slot and things like that that I probably wouldn't put in there for the channel version just on the budget. I think going from about 250, I think was the original budget for the deck on the video I released, to like 375. But it's just cards that I would put in or cards that I would have. I mean, I love the idea of this hand. Eldrazi Monument, again, is probably one of my favorite cards in the deck. So this is kind of fun. I mean, anytime you see a Soul Ring, you don't want to turn it down, especially when you pretty much means you're going to be guaranteeing a turn 2 Brigid here, right? And Brigid, of course, the quicker she comes in, the quicker she flips over, which is the whole goal of the deck, right? So turn 3, you're looking at, 5 mana for the Monument. Now, the only downside to slamming this Monument here is that I would lose this Kithkin next turn. So maybe it's not the best idea, right? Maybe it doesn't make the most sense. Because I don't want to just lose it. You have to sacrifice that creature for it. I could go digging off the Rampant Growth just to see what I could find. I can't get the Flowering down this turn. Oh, I can, because I paid a green to get her over, so I can go white. So I can get the Flowering of the White Tree in. Help protect her. And I have green in 2. I guess let's go for the Rampant Growth, just enough to shuffle the library, see if we could get some more of our token producers here. Straight into a land. Okay. Staff can draw me cards for mana. Man, that feels awkward, but I feel like that's where I'm at. 1, 2, 3, 4. We can't even draw off the staff. So maybe this is a turn where you, in response to this trigger, you tap her for mana, flip her back over. Because remember, you can do that. She'd come back over and make you another Kithkin. Maybe you get staff in, and then coming into this turn, flip her back over. Tyvar's great for the buff. Wait, man, no token producers this time around. At least not like we expect to see. 5 mana here. She's tapping for 2 at the moment. And then we have the Soul Ring. So 9 mana. Tyvar draw. Oh, wow. This just feels brutal. It could just be, right, it's just one of those bad draw hands where we don't see what we want. And this hasn't been like this yet. So this is one of those ones where I'm not gonna freak out internally, because this is the first hand we've seen that's had issues. I guess we station up the Adagia. I guess we could consider it here. I could think about the Monument. Oh no, we tap for we tap for the Gavany. That's right. To come to this turn. Oh well, Stampede's certainly interesting. I think I'd flip this back over at this point just to get the other Kithkin. You could tap the mana right in response, getting 3. Monument, draw, and just get attacking. Oh gosh, this playtest has just turned into a nightmare. I can't believe we continue to just keep hitting lands. 4 from Tyvar. Go like that if we want to, and a doggy the Soul Ring if we wanted to. This just feels like an odd turn. I'd just probably just leave it where it was and go attacking. Just go ahead and go attacking. They're already in the air. Again, we have to lose the Kithkin. Come to the next turn. Flip her back over. Jeez, and more lands. All right, this is just a really awkward playtest. I think this is one of those ones where we just managed to flood out. It happens in game. It happens on Architect. And I'd probably just put this in the odd column. I've tried my hardest for drawing cards. We just can't find it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10. I mean, we could we could tap and untap the staff to draw. There we go. We're starting to get into more creatures. That was just a weird playtest. I'd probably throw that into the awkward column where the rest of the playtest we did tonight looked great. We got the things. We were hitting the permanents. That one was just a flooded. And I can't even just blame it on Architect. You know, you and I both know we have those games, right, where you sit down and you you just flood out lands. It just happens. But like I said before, decks coming out. The channel version of this is coming out tomorrow. This is a deck I've just been really intrigued at. You know, I play a couple, Boros included tokens decks. Naya for Jetmir, uh, Mardu for Ishin. So I thought it'd be fun to come back to Selesnya and just try another tokens deck out. So I'm excited to shuffle this up against the guys the next time we have a chance to play. But let's kind of shift gears and flip over to Lathril. This one came out this week on the channel. And Lathril's always been a commander I've been intrigued at. Elves have always been a tribe I think I've always been intrigued at. But I guess I've just never found the commander for me. When Dionys came out in Jumpstart 2020, or Foundations Jumpstart, it was one I looked twice at because obviously, monogreen elves are very good at what they do. But I had a monogreen deck at the time, and so I didn't really think about it. It's been a long time since I've tried a Golgari deck, which is why I think this one kind of, spoke to me a little bit. I also think the fun of tapping and untapping Lathril is cool, just to like have its ability go off multiple times. You're also just playing Elf Ball, right? And Elf Ball's fun for some people. It's not fun for other people. I could completely understand. But as someone who jokingly likes to call himself a tokens guy, I thought it'd be fun to give this one a run since Lathril makes tokens on damage, and elves have plenty of ways to make tokens. The deck as it sits is pretty close to what got put up for the channel. I think the only things I could think that I really added was just some more lands in the mana base. Verdant Catacombs, Overgrown Tomb, Sigur Segundi, Avendo, just things like that. I think I added something like Natural Order into the list that probably wasn't in there for the channel. I think the bulk of the deck is the same. It was just adding, a couple higher cost cards that I would have if I was going to build it on my own. But let's do some playtesting of Lathril. We'll probably run this bad boy for, another 30 minutes just to have some fun with Lathril. Talk about the deck. Like I said, this one came out on the channel last week, so you can see the version that's already up on the channel. But this is the version I'm going to test for myself. 3-lander here, no swamps, which is intriguing, but we do have Elven Chorus. That could potentially help us tap for a black if need be. Again, just kind of like the first hand or two we did with Brigid, this could be a good test. Do we see lands in the first couple turns, and can we fix this issue? I mean, we still have Archdruid on 2. It's not like we're losing the value. So turn 3, a little awkward here, right? Not seeing the black, but we'll put down the Ascension. Turn 4, okay. I go for the Signet. This is only 3 mana. The Chorus at least lets me look at the top and cast. So we're probably a turn behind, ideally, where we'd want to be. But I think it's okay, because now we've kind of fixed up what we want. Play this, get the Elf Warrior off of Warmaster. I've got 2 mana, but I guess we could play the Signet. I want to really play that Alpha Status, but I guess we can get into that next turn. Look at the top off of that. It's a Skull Clamp, so we got 6 mana. Alpha Status pretty great on Lathril, giving it a +4/+4 buff right now, so it's a 6/7 getting in for the attacks here. Natural Order is an option. I'm just trying to figure out what I would Natural Order for. I feel like something like Immaculate Magistrate, or like one of those elves that buffs Lathril equal to the number of elves you control could be fun. I guess the question really comes down to, is Lathril hitting for damage this turn? If Lathril's getting in for damage, I think I would go right in to something like Immaculate Magistrate, because then you have a better chance of Lathril dealing more damage next turn. If it's not getting in for damage like that, I kind of wonder if I'd rather, Natural Order for something like a Marwyn, Priest of Titania, something like that. Let's just go with the line that I'm getting in for damage this turn, and so let's go for something like the Immaculate Magistrate. That makes me another Elf Warrior off of War Master. We see Parunes on the top. And again, if it did hit 4, 6, 8 Elf Warriors is the thought. Again, if it did truly connect this turn in this sense. So now we're in great shape, right? We have a very huge Lathril with Menace, so the hope is we could just continue to get it in for damage. Oh, Regalia would be great, wouldn't it? Parunes feels really good. Basically just going to make Lathril massive off the Magistrate if we could, because we could attach it there and probably tap it twice. The problem is just what can we do here? I mean, the answer could just be swing the Board of Elves out, get the Ascension online. You can give them Death Touch with the mana we have. You could still tap the Magistrate depending on what Lathril goes for. This is just turned into a attacking elf game, right? We didn't even need the tap shenanigans. Then again, if Lathril hits, if it hits through this turn, then you could put the Parunes on it and take real advantage. Lathril's knocking somebody out with commander damage if it connects this turn. 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22. It's at 24, and that's before we even add the Magistrate. So, what? 3 to attach? 3 to untap. So you're dealing 20 damage off its ability. Again, in a perfect scenario. Not bad. I don't like it. That felt really clunky. So, again, probably one I'd put in the negative column and just kind of see what else we see. Well, love seeing Priest in the opening hand, right? Springleaf's great, making the tokens, letting them tap for mana. There's Archdruid's Charm, which can act as removal or finding us something we want. Avendo's great, right? Becoming a nice copy of something like a Gaia's Cradle. Will reveal the Priest for the Glintleaf. I didn't mean to do that. And then play it. Turn 3, I think I'd probably just slam Lathril, right? Now we have it in and we're getting the party started. Turn 4, 3 mana, and then 2 from Lathril is 5. What makes the most sense? Go into Springleaf for 3. Try to hedge the bet of whether... I guess it comes down to whether or not Lathril's coming in this turn. If Lathril's getting in for damage this turn, I think I really like the Parade as an option for 3. Just because then you're really setting up your mana for next turn. Let's just say that Tyvar does get in for the 2 this turn. Now we're starting to look really good. All these are tapping for mana. Throne becomes a fun option, right? Being able to tap them all out, dealing damage to your opponents on end step. The Staff on Priest is infinite green. Right. 3 to play, tap Titania for 6, 7 mana. So it's just enough to untap it. So we're infinite green. So then you just chord for an Azuri, right? And just dump the mana in. That was the other intention with a list like this, was still kind of playing the elf shenanigans, but also having the Lathril shenanigans at the same time, which is kind of what I wanted the deck to do, and I feel like it's done a decent job at fulfilling it. 2-laner here with the Titania again. There's an Arcane Signet, so that's pretty helpful even if we miss a land drop. Ooh, and the Mystic just makes it even better, doesn't it? Arcane Signet into the Priest. Turn 3, Lathril here. This is tapping for 3, 4. I guess I have to do the Ascension. I don't have the black, right? This is only triple green, so we could do that. Tap of the next turn. Miss the land drop again. Interesting. Priest is tapping for 3, 5, 6 mana. Loveless Alana, right? Getting us the 1/1s. Beastmaster is great. Magistrate's great for next turn. I go 4 for the Magistrate. Sorry. 3 for the Brawler, right? Tap Priest for 3, untap it with that, tap it for 3, which should be 6. And 7 total there. It's just Magistrate and attack with Lathril. Try to hope we get an elf here. Or 2 right out of this attack. There's the Benefactor's Drought, which is kind of nice being able to untap all of our creatures. This could be fun to guarantee some Lathril damage because you could go ahead and natural order, take out one of the Elf Warriors for something like a Zuri. This is tapping for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 at the moment. So that'd be 1 Azuri activation, and you'd untap it, so it'd be 12 total. That's 2 Azuri activations. So this is 8 with Trample, probably guaranteeing some more there as we just go for more damage. Wish I had a, Heroic Intervention or something. Oh, I've totally forgot about Magistrate. So Magistrate would make what? Lathril probably like a 14. So it would be a huge hit of Elf Warriors this turn. And then by that account, would I have enough to Benefactor's Drought? Probably. I'd probably have enough to Benefactor's Drought. Get at least 1 activation of Lathril. I think I didn't really. I mean, I knew it, but I think it wasn't really cemented in my head that how just wild elf decks can be until I did all these videos this week, and I was just like, I was shocked at just how much they could really function, and do good work. Let's go another playtest here. Tyvar. I love Tyvar. I'm making the 1/1s, untapping things. Pretty cool. 3-lander here feels good. We see the Springleaf. Obviously would have loved to have seen a early turn. Would love to have seen an early turn. No, I think this is a Lathril, right? Would have loved to have seen like an early turn, Priest or something, but now 5 mana, I think it's, you could guarantee the hit with Lathril, right? Making a bunch of Elf Warriors. Or does it make more sense to throw Tyvar out? Get the mana into like a Skull Clamp. Makes the most sense. Azuri makes the most sense, right? Because you guarantee probably at least 3. A turn 5, a 5/6 Lathril with tramples, gotta guarantee you a couple Elf Warriors, right? And you come to this turn, I think Tyvar makes sense because now these can tap for black. So you've got 5 mana if you want to here. But you can untap, right? Only 1 green source, so I can't Springleaf. Does it make more sense to Springleaf for 3? Now we could tap for 3 there. Holding up this, holding up this. You could even throw the clamp in and clamp to draw some cards, right? I feel like I lost the plot on this one just a teeny bit. Or you go 2 and you could guarantee yourself Tyvar to make another one, right? Because then the Elf Warriors could tap, and then you'd have the 4 mana for Tyvar. And then probably what? Put the counter on Lathril? Give it Death Touch, I guess, just trying to have a better chance at getting maybe some Warriors. And then as we come back to this turn, 2 activations of Azuri currently. So you've got a 9 power Lathril, 10 if you want to tick up. 10 if you want to tick up Tyvar to do it again. Feels good. Okay. I think that makes a lot of sense to me. Awkward that to me it's a little late on turn 7, but again, I'm trying not to like super sculpt the hands. I'm trying to kind of see what comes, right? So that we can kind of get an idea of what we're looking at. Don't like that one. Don't think a 1-lander is going to do me any good. Ouch. No lander. That's not good. 2 Timberwatch Elf. This feels like a trap. Okay, well, Llanowar Elves saves this one. No black source. That's something we got to keep in the back of our mind, but we do have the Nature's Lore, right? So, turn 1. Go ahead and just Nature's Lore for the... Hey, we have a couple dual lands in the deck. Did I put the Surveil land? I guess that was what I would go get here just to see the top. Yeah, Nature's Claim feels fine. Turn 4, Lathril. Turn 5. Or turn 3, Lathril. Turn 4. Archdruid. And then maybe, maybe you get the Warriors here. I guess it just comes down to what your opponent's boards are. Let's just say for the purposes of this, we do. Turn 5, I dump in the Springleaf. It's 1, 4, 5, 6, 7. Not bad. Could get us a couple things down. If I don't dump in the Springleaf, this is just 3, 4. Oh, each elf. 2, 1, 6, 7, 8, 9. Sorry, 9 mana. Or 8, right? So I think we do the Springleaf for 0. Just allowing these to tap for the mana. So 1, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 mana. Tyvar feels fun. Channeler sets up some fun for next turn. Good common for like 4. Just make a bunch of Elf Warriors, give them all indestructible, and just run Lathril in for value. But I feel like this is better with more mana. Why only do it for 4 when you could try to do it for like 8 next turn, right? Let's have it for 5. So only this would get the Channeler. Leaf Crown, hold the mana up here, I guess. Attack with Lathril again. Maybe you get it, maybe you don't. It's got at least a couple point buff, but I feel like at this point people are blocking it. Now we come back to this turn. These both tap for a number of elves of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So you got 14 there, 15, 19, 21. So you could go 10 into the common good if you really wanted to and just go deep. Could also get Tyvar out to just give these a massive buff when they tap. Still 14. I mean, you could still go, what, 6 into the for common good if that's what you really wanted to do. But each of these would get... each of these would get 7 counters because of Tyvar, right? Because they tap for mana. We could even pay the green on Llanowar to draw, just to see right here, right? When we play Tyvar, we could draw. And the Stonework makes a ton of sense because it's just, what, 3 to Eclipse? So we could go 5 into the common good. I said it was 14, 15, 16. Using 3 for Masterwork makes it 13 left, so it'd be 6 into the common good. Giving them all indestructible. Lathril just takes a huge attack. Doesn't have trample, unfortunately, but it's probably still just worth it. And then it just comes down to protecting your board, which unfortunately we can't. We would be mega doomed to a board wipe. But I think that's kind of just the... that's just the acceptance you have to have in the back of your head. If you don't have a Heroic Intervention in hand, you're just dead to a board wipe. Did I miss the Rogue's Passage line there? I did, didn't I? I forgot I had Rogue's Passage there, so you could have used 5 of the, 4 of it instead, so 2 into each of the X's away, take 2 less, and just make, well, that probably would have been more than that since we wouldn't have tapped it, but instead of doing the for common good, we could have made this unblockable and then gone deep into the for common good for whatever we could. Then this is unblockable, dealing 2, 3, 4, probably 15 or 16 once you get the for common good in, netting you all the elves. Yeah, that checks out. I think it's important to when you're sitting down and doing these playtests to go, okay, this is the line I would go, and then go, okay, if I didn't do that line, what else would I do? Where else would I go? What else could I think about? Because you're not sitting out against opponents, so it's not like you're forced to take the first play that you think of in your head. But here I could sit down and iterate. Okay, what if I did this instead? What if I did that instead? Like we saw last turn. What if I paid that green into the leaf crown and thought about it? But there you go. I saw the card and oh, okay, that was probably the better choice, right? What's kind of important about these playtest environment is that you're not against a clock, you're not against opponents. Sit down, figure out this deck, right? Think about things and start to learn, right, these interactions as they present themselves. Ooh, one lander's not gonna do it. It's better, no mana dork, but I do like the idea of the staff if we can find one. So I think I'm just gonna keep this and see how it works. Forcing in the Brigid. There we see the spring leaf. Ooh, nature's lore is interesting because I can't get Lathril at this turn anyway. Go ahead and surveil one. We see the Selvala. Don't mind that one. Come to this turn. I'll play Lathril, pay the green to draw. We're a little behind the 8 ball here, but that's okay. Turn 5 mana. Takes mana because we hit the nature's lore. I don't think I have any real way to make this unblockable, right? I want to hold up something like this. I could do this for 2 and hold that up. Selvala doesn't feel like a bad idea either. Tap in to make the mana. She's a nice staff target as well if we can grow this somehow. Like something like Timberwatch Elf. Is this the play? Selvala in this. Attack with this. Hopefully get the warriors. I doubt on turn 5 this gets us warriors, so let's say that it doesn't. Come back to this turn. Tap Timberwatch to make this a 6/7. This is now tapping for 6 mana every time it taps, so this would be infinite mana. So where does the line get us? We can continually untap Timberwatch Elf. So you what? Archsteward's Charm for Azuri? And I've got technically 3 attackers. I technically have 4 attackers because I can untap Selvala and Timberwatch before combat. Okay. So the Elf Ball does Elf Ball things. Okay. And again, I don't mean that demeaningly. I mean that's the point of the deck. It's just okay, it's figuring out the line in your head to go, okay, that's where my point is. Let's see if we could squeak in 1 or 2 more. 3-lander here. I love Avendo, right? Nice Gaia's Cradle style land. We see Tyvar, we see Seeker of Skybreak, can untap a Elf or even Lathril. Get a Vendo untapped. Oh, I was really hoping for the Ancestry. And well, there's our mana dork. Tyvar. Is it Channel or Lathril? Lathril, probably, right? I was gonna say I want to hold up the heroic, but at the same time, Chandler plus Llanowar feels good. This isn't guaranteed to get in. It doesn't have trample, right? This can only give it a flat buff. It doesn't give it trample. So I think part of my term would come down to, does Lathril get in? If Lathril gets in, I'm apt to go for like Springleaf Parade for like 1 and just hold up this heroic intervention, and I have 2, 3 elves for next turn. If Lathril isn't gonna get in, those 2 and hold up the heroic just to protect the board. Oh, Sword of the Squeak's fun. That's useful. Can definitely buff Lathril. I'm missing a trample source, which really all I can think of in my head is Azuri, right? As one of the cheap ways to do it. I guess I could have been stationing this with. I could have been stationing this with Tyvar, couldn't I have? Just to get this close to being online. Vitalize feels fun. This feels fun. It's 4 to equip right now, and it would turn it into a 3/4 right now just because of the Llanowar. Still have 2 mana, and I can untap for a 3rd. My gut tells me to hold this up and just attack, hope that it, gets me at Elves, but I guess I can't guarantee it on turn 6. So do the Tyvar station last turn and then this turn. Guess you could always station it with Lathril if you didn't think you could attack, right? So this is 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, then untap maybe for 9 total. Want a way to push this in. Oh, this adds to this. I forgot it's base power or toughness. I always just think of base power and toughness. Channeler. Probably should have been the play last turn, now that I think about it, because it would have just got me more mana, right? Springleaf Parade. Hold up the mana for the heroic, try to get the attack here. I feel like I botched this one. I don't think I took my early turns right there. There's probably a better line I missed, and that'd probably be one where I'd probably sit there and go back and look through my plays again and go, okay, what line did I take? Channeler probably needs to come down sooner. Probably need to station the Avendo a little bit sooner just to get it online, and we might have been in better shape. Like, all of me wants to keep this hand. I mean, a 4-lander feels great. You have removal, way to untap, but like without the dorks, it just feels weird. I mean, this one feels better. You have ways to buff Lathril. You have a way to get tokens, so I don't mind this one. Peatland, play the Masterwork. Forest, Llanowar, Glintleaf, Lathril, right? That is 4 mana. 5 mana here. Alpha status equip. Makes it a 4/5, 5/6. I guess that comes down to whether or not it's going to get in. If it's going to get in, then it's bang bang, make 5 Elf Warriors, right? If it's not going to get in, is it just a Zuri? Is it just like a Zuri Farseek and just set up for the next turn? Let's play the world it does get in, just for the sake of seeing it. So you Masterwork, you're making 5 Elf Warriors. The next turn thing I like about this is if somebody takes out Lathril, you lose this, but you don't lose this. Right, so you still have the buff there potentially. Elven Ambush could get you 7 elves. Doesn't feel bad for this scenario, but again, it comes down to can it hit through. If I Zuri for 3, I need 5 to activate it, right? And I don't have it. This does feel like a good play, right? Making the elves, turning this into a threat, especially if it can get in. If it can get in, somebody's dead, right? I mean, you play the Elven Ambush, you make 7 elves. This is 14, above 30 power. Oh, even the Masterwork, so probably above 40 power and just knocking somebody out. But again, I doubt on turn 5 that no one has 2 blockers that they can't put in front of Lathril. Which is what my gut tells me it's like this plus Farseek. just to go get another land in and kind of try to set up for next turn where you can. My thought is just Elven Ambush into Azuri's bottom ability, if possible, or bottom ability no matter what. I guess I don't have the mana to. Firewood Lodge is perfect. Again, take the attack, force the block, and then I guess this turn I'm 1 mana off the ambush plus the bottom ability. The bottom ability makes a lot of a difference because it turns this into an absolutely lethal threat, right? Okay, I'm seeing card draw being an issue over the course of these playtests, so that's something we want to keep in mind. Let's go one more playtest. I appreciate everybody who's hung out with me tonight. If you have any last minute questions for the live stream, go ahead and throw them in the chat. I'd love to answer them for you. Again, the goal is to live stream once a week, not necessarily on Friday night. It's just the night it worked out best. If you have any suggestions for what night, throw them in the chat. I'll do my best to kind of try to make it the same night or similar nights so, people can kind of keep their availability. I'm also going to try to make sure I'm scheduling them in advance for those of you that want to watch. If you have any suggestions on commanders you want to see in the future on Let's Play Test, either on the main video or on the live stream, let me know. Again, like I said previously in the stream, the goal is trying to make it as topical as possible with the videos that are coming out so that in the future, we're doing this with Marvel commanders, or TMNT commanders, or things like that when they're coming out. I just kind of picked the ones I picked because they were relevant around next week. I have to think of my head. Next week is a bunch of Merfolk commanders, so we'll probably do one of them. And then my thought is, let's see, one of them, the standalone video I haven't really decided on yet, but we'll pick on probably my guess would be a Merfolk commander. The big one this week I'm excited about is Bant Merfolk with Galadriel. That'll probably be the standalone video. So it'll probably be Hackball or maybe the new Sig. We'll see if, depending on which I'm thinking about, and then I'll probably just pick a commander from my own box I've been working on, and that's what I'm thinking about for next week. But if you have any thoughts, throw them in the comment section below. We'll knock out one more hand and we'll have some fun here. Two-lander. Now the Tree Speaker can give itself the ability to tap for 2, so this isn't a terrible hand, but it's a little bit awkward because I can't get that Tree Speaker down until this, and then here I can level it up. So I got 3 mana. Play this staff. Turn 4, 6 mana, right? Because tap it for 2 now. Lathril. I need to get this to level 5 to have all my elves tap for the mana. Like Tyvar here. Go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If I up Tyvar to untap it, what would I do with it? Probably nothing all that relevant. Guess it comes down to whether or not Lathril can get in this turn, right? Otherwise, I'm kind of thinking about just making the 1/1. You could station up Sigur Siguni again, a way to draw, right, by sacrificing your creatures. This could be a fine Tyvar target just to grow it for the future. 3 mana, I mean, there's always the Deluge, but I don't love it. I guess there's 4 mana if you tap Lathril for the black, but I don't like that. I think I would just try to attack, force somebody to jump block. Now I can do this for 5, 6, 7. I can untap for up to 9. Or because it could be good. Tristan's command doesn't feel half bad. I guess again it all comes down to, can this get in for damage? This would be a scenario where, and I haven't added a ton of counter support to Lathril, but this would almost be a scenario where, like, could something like Bramblewood Paragon be interesting? That's the elf that gives all your elves with the counters on them trample. Like, again, the deck's not really built to do that, but it could be really interesting if we put more like plus a plus with counter synergy in here. I cord for Azuri or something like that, I wouldn't have. What would be my cord target if I were to pick one? I guess you could go something like the Magistrate, right? Something that could start growing Lathril to be a threat. Don't even hate that, but remember that cord comes into the battlefield, so I wouldn't be able to play the squad on it. Ionis doesn't feel terrible. Speaker doesn't feel terrible, I guess, because you could go get the Azuri, but you get a body that can untap another body. I don't know. I'll be honest, I don't know. Let's try the line just to see what comes of it. So we go get the speaker with the quarter calling, put it on the bed of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Pitch the deluge, I guess, to go get something like a Zuri to hand. So here we're just betting on. My thought is we're just betting on this next turn. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 with Tyvar. Back down to 8, up to 10 with a formidable speaker. Do we go get Priest or Elvish Archdruids instead of Azuri, I guess, in that scenario? Just to go for the mana? To dump into something like the Promenade or the Tristan's Command? Probably. That's probably a mistake on my part, because then you even have this to help us dig or untap. Okay, but it's important to, again, I'll pause it and I'll say till the cows come home that it's important to do these playtests, because otherwise you're never going to see the lines, and you're certainly not going to see them in a game where you're sitting with your friends or you're sitting at a like at a game store, right? So that's why I think playtests are so important, is seeing these lines, iterating, trying to figure them out on your own, so that when you get to a shop, right, you kind of know what you're looking at. But I hope you all enjoyed the first live stream for 2026 for Let's Playtest. I'm excited to bring you more of this once a week. Like I said, standalone videos, live streams. Let me know what you want to see on future um, playtests on standalone videos and live streams. Thank you all so much for joining me, and I will catch you on the next one.